I hope things are visible. Just someone confirm that it start.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay. So I'm kind of fed up with Microsoft OneNote. I can't move it around, so I move to you know this slide kind of a format. This is also kind of comfortable as far as making a lecture is concerned. Okay, so let's start. Today we are going to be talking about state space method for electrical circuits. Uh, so the idea behind state space method over here is not exactly to solve for quantities, but to be able to formulate this state space model for electrical circuits. Then we'll come to some of the mechanical systems also, but because electrical circuits would be something that you people are comfortable with because you've done it in NAS and even otherwise you know how resistors and capacitors and inductor equations are formulated. So I decided that probably we'll do this first. So the idea is, I'll quickly revise. The idea is to be able to just record this so that have yeah. Okay. All right. So we begin with the state space methods for electrical circuits, and the idea is not really to solve for quantities, electrical quantities like current and voltages, but the idea is that we should be able to formulate equations like these. Basically, this because right now we're not considering disturbances or anything. How we solve these equations is going to come a little later in the course, where we'll formulate this and then we'll also solve it. But right now we just have to formulate models. Okay, so you remember that x used to be state variables, and there could be as many as you like depending upon the problem and depending upon how you want to handle the problem. A and B are matrices. They are square matrices or so-called rectangular matrices depending upon the number of state variables and number of inputs. So we'll begin with first example, and it's a simple circuit. It's a RLC circuit, and in the input, suppose I give you a voltage ET. So you have R, you have L, you have C. Let's say that the voltage of the capacitor is VC, positive, negative, and the current that flows is IT. Okay. So I want to formulate a state space model for this circuit, and then we'll see how we can create a signal flow graph and block diagram and calculate transfer functions and all that. So that is basically the objective. Now, as far as this problem is concerned, ET is your input because that is what is driving the circuit. Of course, RLC circuit does not really require an input if it is initially with some conditions. So if a capacitor is already charged, you really don't need a voltage and the current will start to decay in some manner. But over here in this problem, we have a voltage ET, which is the input, which is given to this circuit. Then, so one thing is decided that your input is this. So there is one input which will actually, work as a U in the problem. Then state variables. So whenever a system is given to you, state variables you are free to choose, but generally you choose them as entities that vary with time in the circuit. So over here we have IT that varies with time, So you have IT that varies with time, and then you have uh, VCT that vary with time. So these two quantities are going to be decided as to be representing state variables. So they will constitute, what we know as the X matrices in a problem. So the first thing is decided. We have input as ET, and we have IT and VCT as two state variables. Now we know that the current equations for the circuits are going to be in the first order of current and voltage, because we know that in capacitors we have current varying as C dV by dt, and because the governing equation in a capacitor is Q is equal to CV, and so the current is going to be C dV by dt, because we are considering that the capacitance is constant, it does not vary with time. So this is the governing equation of current and voltage in a capacitor. For an inductor, we know that voltage across the inductor is basically L di by dt. So it's first order rate of change of current, and over here we have the first order rate of change of voltage. So these are the governing equations, and we know that in the resistor it is simply V into I. I'm dropping the subscript T because it's understood that these quantities are varying with time right now. So these are the governing equations for voltages across the three components. So now let's create equations. So let me just redraw the circuit. So you have ET, you have I, the capacitance, DC plus minus. You have R and you have L. Okay? And this is the direction of current. So now, if I apply KVL, so this is negative, this is positive. So I am moving in this sense. I'm going like this and coming back like this. So I will write ET minus RI T minus L Ti by dt, and because capacitor voltage is Vc and it's a state variable, I write it as VCT. Now because our current and voltage are basically the state variables, I need current differential and voltage differential on one side. So what I do is I take this term on one side, so I write it as DIT by dt is going to be given as ET plus, sorry, minus RIT and minus VCT, and then you will have a L here. Now I'm dropping the subscript T, so I'm just writing di by dt. That can be written as minus R by L I minus 1 by L times Vc plus 1 by L times E. So now you have one differential equation in one of the state variables. So that is sorted. Then the next equation, so this is the first equation. The next equation that you can write is a very simple one. We know that I is going to be C dVc by dt. So here we get the differential of the second state variable. So this can be written as dvc over dt is 1 upon c and z. So now I have the second differential equation in terms of another state variable. So now I have two equations. Let me just write them again. So one is di by dt, which is minus r by l I minus 1 upon L Vc upon LT. Let's check. Yeah. Then I have dVc over dt is 1 upon C times I. Now these are the two equations that are that have the form differential of the state variable on the left hand side and inputs and the state variable on the right hand side. So if I was to write it in terms of a mat, in terms of that, this form, x dot is equal to ax plus bu, then that will be something like this. I will write di by dt, then I will write dvc by dt on this side. That is basically my x dot matrix. And on this side, I'll have A. Then here, I will have I and I will have Vc, and this is my x. Plus, I will have some B, and my U happens to be E. So this is what it is. Now what will be A? So A is going to be minus R by L minus 1 by L, because you have in front of I you have R by L. So R by L, next Vc will come. So it is minus 1 upon L. Then over here you have 1 upon C, then you have 0. So that completes your A matrix. Then if you come over here, then it will be 1 upon L and it will be 0. So here is your state space representation for this electrical system. Sometimes you could also write it in the reverse way, in the sense that you could represent Vc dot first and I dot second. Then everything is going to kind of change, in the sense that everything will go up. The things that are down here in this row will get interchanged. So something like this, plus. So that is also possible. That depends whichever way you want to write it, which state variable you want to write first. So but it is regardless of in which manner you write it, once you actually find the solution, time variation of current or time variation of voltage, the answers are going to be the same. So there is no problem as such in representing it in any of these ways. Okay, so I think it's simple enough. In the exam, if such a question comes, then either you will be given the state variables, or you will be asked to arrive at a certain state space representation where you have to decide what should be the state variables, which of course once you see, you'll come to know what the state variables are. But sometimes if a problem is given to you like a project or something, then a little bit of practice is required to be able to ascertain what is going to be the state variable. But generally it's pretty straightforward in problems. Anyways, so this is the first thing. Now state space model is ready, but let's see how we can actually obtain a signal flow graph for this kind of a system. So the next topic that we do is a signal flow graph. signal flow graph. Okay, so let me just rewrite the equations again. So di by dt is minus r by L into I, so 1 by L into Vc plus 1 by L into E, and dVc over dt is 1 upon C times. Okay, so now we have to make a signal flow graph, and if you remember, in signal flow graphs everything was in Laplace domain. Whenever we talk of block diagrams and whenever we talk of signal flow graphs, we generally talk in terms of Laplace domain. So these are of course time domain equations. These are time domain equations. So when we talk of signal flow graphs, we have to transform these equations, first of all, into Laplace domain equations. That's the first thing that we need to do. Now, just for revision's sake, if suppose there is a function ft that has a Laplace transform of capital Fs, then if you have a quantity called dft, df by dt, then its Laplace transform is given as sfs minus f0. So this is the standard formula where f0 is the initial value at t equal to 0. So we are going to use this formula, this one, to get, the Laplace transformation of di by dt and dvc by dt. Now, this will transform to capital I. I'm not writing S, but it actually is S here. Vc is going to transform to capital Vc, and there will be an S here, and your E is going to transform to, let's say, capital Vs. Okay, RL and C are considered to be constants, so we really don't need to worry too much about them. So let's just, let's transform things. So the first equation is di by dt. So di by dt gets transformed to I into S minus I0. Everything else follows. So I can say that this becomes equal to minus R by Li. Let me just check. Yeah. Minus 1 upon L Vc plus 1 upon L into E. So let me just write it like this. So I becomes equal to I0 by S minus 1 upon S, plus 1 upon S minus R by L into I minus 1 upon L into Vc plus 1 upon L into V. So this is what you get when you take the Laplace transform for the first equation. You can see that input is there. There is one state variable Vc, and the current is on the left hand side as well as on the right hand side, which means that some portion of the current is fed back into the current again. So this indicates that once we make the signal flow graph, there is going to be a feedback in it. We'll see it a little later. So now let's look at the second equation, which was dvc by dt, and this gets transformed to S Vc minus Vc0, and that should be equal to, so we have 1 upon C into I. So I can write Vc as VC0 by S plus 1 upon S I by C. So now I have two equations, one for the Laplace transform of current and one for the Laplace transform for the voltage, and I need to create a signal flow graph using this. I hope the equations are clear because they are simple application of Laplace transform based on the formula that I just told you. So let's create that model. So let me just write them once again. I is equal to A0 by S plus 1 upon S. So by just a second, somebody is. Minus 1 upon L times into, sorry, one upon L times into BC plus 1 upon L times. So that is the first equation. And the second equation is simple. It is VC is equal to VC0 by S plus I times CS. Okay. Now we know that the signal flow graph is from the input to the output. So the first thing that we do is we create the input, which is E. Okay. Now the outputs over here could be any of the state variables. So let's write I here first because that's the first equation, and then let me just write VC over here. You can write VC first also, it doesn't really matter. But so basically we are going to be moving in this direction. We are going in this direction from the input towards the output. That's always the case in signal flow graphs. So let's look at it now. So basically I is given by this equation, and if you see the contribution of capital E in I, then it is 1 upon L times E. So the first thing that I do is that I create a line with a gain 1 by L. Now all these things are, so a positive of 1 upon L times E gets added to some multiplication of I and VC. So now let's do one thing. So you can see that when I gets multiplied by minus R by L, it is fed back into the system again. So let me just do that. So over here, what I get is something like this. So I have minus R by L. Then there is a contribution from VC also, which is minus 1 by L. So that is something that goes like this. So you have minus 1 upon L. All this is getting added, so that's all right. But now the entire thing is getting multiplied by 1 upon S. So let's do that. Let's say that this quantity here is 1 upon S. So what we can do is that we can just say that this whole quantity is 1 upon S. Let me just make it again. So all this goes to I, and let this quantity be 1 upon S. And then to that you add this quantity, because this is basically something like this. So one can just say that it is emission. So you get something here like this. So this is your I. You can check that I is 1 upon S times 1 upon L times E plus minus R by L times I plus minus 1 upon L times Vc plus I naught by S. So this is what you get as I. Now if you look at Vc, then basically it is something, so you could just say that it is this quantity getting multiplied by 1 upon Cs, and to which you add Vc0 by S. So that's it. This is your signal flow graph for this problem, and that's how you make it. So basically this is also one of the problems that could be asked, that you're given a state space diagram or you're given a state space equation and you have to create a signal flow graph. So all you need to do is that you need to take a Laplace transformation and you need to get the governing equations for the state variables. In this case it was capital I and capital Vc, and from there you see what things get added and what things are getting subtracted, and you basically create this diagram. Is there any problem so far? If there isn't, then I'll move ahead. Okay, so I'm assuming that it's straightforward. Okay, so the next task that could be a potential problem in any of the exams that you give, which has control systems, is using signal flow graph. We should be able to get transfer functions, right? So let's look at that problem. So now let's evaluate some of the transfer functions using signal. So if I draw the signal flow graph again, so you have E here, 1 upon L, then you have 1 upon S, minus R by L, you have I, and you have BC, you have minus 1 upon L, you have 1 upon CS. Now I am not making, I have deleted from this graph, I have deleted I0 by S and Vc0 by S. Now can you tell me why? I'm evaluating transfer functions from signal flow graph, so I have deleted the contributions of I naught. So if you look at the previous graph, this contribution, this branch, and this contribution which is denoted by this branch, I have deleted in this graph. Why? Can anybody tell me? Can anybody tell me the basic definition of signal flow graph? Oh, sorry, transfer function. Let me just ask somebody, because you will not open your mouth. Deepak, what is a transfer function?
Sir, इनपुट अपन आउटपुट निकालते हैं.
इनपुट और आउटपुट निकालते तो हैं, बट ऐसे बस निकाल दिया. Yeah, input over output in frequency domain, Ishan says. That's okay, but there is something that you're missing. There is one thing that is being missed by everybody. So transfer
Sir,
function,
initial condition को zero कर दिया.
yes, exactly. Thank you, Anand. So basically the idea is that the transfer functions are always evaluated at zero initial conditions. So whenever you evaluate transfer functions, it is the ratio of your output in frequency domain, as Ishan suggested, so in S domain, over input in S domain, but all this is when initial conditions are 0, as mentioned by Sanay. So initial conditions 0. So that is the reason why I have omitted I not by S and V not V subscript C0 by S. We have deleted it. So what are the possible transfer functions that you can evaluate? So one is that you can evaluate a quantity VC over E. That's the first quantity, because if you consider output to be VC and input is of course capital E, so this is one quantity. So what is this quantity that we'll have to evaluate? And the second quantity that we can evaluate is I over E, because I can also be an output variable. Okay, and input is only E. So, but you can also evaluate a quantity like VC by I also, because once you evaluate these quantities, all you need to do is you need to take a ratio, and you can evaluate VC by I or I over VC also. But that's understandable. So these are the two quantities that we'll evaluate. Now, how do we evaluate transfer functions using signal flow graph? We use the Mason's gain formula. So the formula that we use, suppose we need to find VC over E. So that will be given as summation K is equal to 1 to N, if you people remember, MK del K whole divided by del. So this was basically what it was. Let me just recreate the signal flow graph again. So we have E, then 1 upon L, 1 upon S. You have S by L. You have minus 1 upon L. So here you have I, here you have 1 upon CS, and here you have VC. Okay, let's evaluate these quantities. So can anybody tell me what is the forward path? How many forward paths we have over here, and what is the forward path gain M1? Can anyone
one
tell me?
only. One
Only
only.
one.
No, M1 is not 1. M1 is the forward path gain. There is only one forward path that goes from E to I to VC. So that is going to be 1 upon LC into S square. So that is your forward path, M1. Okay, now let's evaluate. Somebody's mic is on, so you can mute it. Thank you. So now let's evaluate the different loops. So there is one loop, L11, which is this loop here. So let me just, so this is one loop, and that loop happens to be equal to minus R L into S. So that is the first loop, single loop. Then there is another loop which happens to be this here, this quantity. This is the second loop, and that happens to be, so it will be 1 upon S into 1 upon CS into 1 upon L. That will be 1 over LC times S square. Okay, so these are the two loops. There is no other loop. The loops are touching, so there is no non-touching combination that is possible here. So we stop here. So that means a delta is going to be 1 plus R over LS plus 1 over LCS square. It's basically 1 minus L11 plus L12, if you remember the formula. You can just go back and check it. So this is basically what it will be. Then the next thing that we need to know is delta 1. So delta 1 is basically delta for that part of signal flow graph that does not touch the gain path. It does not touch M1. Is there any loop that does not touch the forward gain path?
No, sir.
No.
No, sir.
So that means delta 1 is
No.
1. So delta 1 is 1. So now the problem is simple. So you just write V over E is going to be 1 upon LC square times 1, which is this multiplied by this multiplied by this, divided by this quantity here. So that is going to be 1 plus R over LS plus 1 over LC square. So if you do your math, then this is going to be something like LCS square plus RCS plus 1. So this is going to be your V over quantity of interest comes out like this. So this is basically what it is. So we evaluated one. Let's evaluate another one. Okay. So the next was we had to evaluate I over E. So I over E is also simple. It's just that one upon L in, yeah. Okay. So this is E. Let me just check once. Yeah, okay. Now we have to evaluate this. This will also be some 1 to N Mk delta K over delta. Now, of course, because the signal flow graph is the same, the delta will obviously be the same. So the delta is again 1 plus tannic alpha R by Ls it is so simply LC S. So delta will be the same because the signal flow graph is the same. But M1, what is going to be M1? Now remember, your output is this quantity and your input is this quantity. So what is M1?
1 upon LS?
Yes, so that is simply 1 upon Ls. It is this gain, so it is basically this gain of this branch multiplied by gain of this branch. That is what it is. So that is 1 upon Ls. Delta remains the same because the signal flow graph is the same. So we really don't need to evaluate that. Delta 1 is basically what? It is that part of the signal flow graph that does not touch the forward gain path. Is there any loop that does not touch the forward gain path in this case?
Okay.
So basically what I'm asking is, does this loop touch the forward gain path? It does.
Yes, sir.
Along this node and along this node it touches. Then if you look at this, it also touches the forward gain path at this node. So I mean there isn't anything. So there is no loop that does not touch the forward gain path. So delta is 1. So your answer is simply I over E is simply 1 upon Ls into 1 divided by whatever was your delta, and you can evaluate this quantity. So you get the signal flow, you get the transfer function, this over this. So now if you have to evaluate the transfer function, not the transfer function, but the ratio of I over Vc over IV. So that will simply be equal to Vc over E over I over E. So both the deltas will get cancelled, and whatever ratio you get will be your answer. So you can evaluate this quantity also, or for that matter, you can evaluate I. So this is so for one problem that we had discussed. We have the state space equations. We have the signal flow graph. We have the transfer functions. Well, if you have to make a block diagram, I think it will not be difficult. The block diagram is going to be very simple. Over this side you will have E, then you will have the branch will take shape of the block. Then you had a node where things were getting added and subtracted, so you'll have a node here. Then there was a branch that was 1 upon S. Then you had a quantity which was R by L, and this was getting subtracted. Here you have P, C, so here you have another 1 by L negative sign. So this quantity here becomes your I, and of course so just a second. So we had an initial this condition, right? So let's just add that also. So let's not write I here. Let me add to this that initial condition, which was I0 by S. So when this quantity and this quantity get added, then you get I here. So, or basically you can just add it over here also, so that this becomes I, so that doesn't really matter. Then you have a quantity 1 upon CS, and then you can have a summation here, and you can have PCs, so S, and then let's say that this thing doesn't go here, so you have summation and summation. This quantity goes here, and over here, let's just not make it here. Let's make it here, and this quantity becomes here. So this is the signal. This is the block diagram. So we have started with the circuit. We created a state space model. Then we identified what is matrix A. We identified what is matrix B. So let's just recapitulate. We had a problem which was given to us. We identified what is the input. We identified what are the state variables. We looked at what will be the governing equations for current and voltages, because it's an electrical circuit. Then we used what we call as KVL and KCL. Of course, we did not use KCL here, but KVL and KCL are required to write the governing equations of state variable 1 and 2, which are there in the rectangular bracket, rectangular blocks of sorts. Then next, from there, we wrote those equations, and we created a model, state space model, which gave us matrix A, B, U, and everything. So one task was over here of creating a state space model. Then from state space model, we went to signal flow graph. We wrote the equations in time domain, and because they had the first order derivatives, we evaluated the Laplace transform according to the standard formula. We represented the time domain and Laplace domain pairs for the quantities, and we wrote the equations for I and V. In I, we saw that there is a feedback because some portion of I was going back into I again. So we saw this equation, this one, and we realized that there is a feedback. This equation was pretty straightforward with no feedback. And then we created a signal flow graph using these two equations. Simple enough. Then from this, we came to evaluate various transfer functions. It's always easy to evaluate transfer functions using signal flow graph because there is no shifting of points, and there is no shifting of summation signs. There is less confusion. You just really need to remember how Mason gain formula is applied. And I said that in transfer functions I deleted these quantities. The reason was that in transfer function evaluation we set initial conditions to be 0. That is what I did. And the task was to evaluate these. So we went ahead and we evaluated these quantities, and this formula is called the Mason gain formula. Mason's gain formula. So I evaluated these two quantities for both, and please remember that when the signal flow graph is the same, then delta will always remain the same. So that is like you don't have to do an extra step. Then that's it, and then you just look at the signal flow graph and you can create a block diagram. So a block diagram was created. So this is basically let me just summarize it. One slide. So you have a circuit. From circuit we went to state space model. Then from here we went to signal flow graph. Then from here we went to transfer function evaluation. And from here you can also create what we call as a block diagram. What is still not done, what is missing is going to come later, is actually solving for IT and solving for BC. These two things are going to be done in subsequent modules. Okay, so this is in the nutshell what we have done today. I'm going to give by today afternoon. I'm going to put up a couple of more problems which will be solved in a similar fashion. Then I will give you 3-4 practice problems in electrical circuits, and that should suffice. There will be circuits with RLC components or only R or only LC or whatever. And these are the things that you'll actually be evaluating in those things. So this is basically what is signal flow graph or maybe modeling of electrical circuits using state space method. Whatever we have done so I'm ending the class now. Whatever we have done today up to this point is going to come in your exam, which is going to start from October 19th to October 22nd. And we will have class next week also, and we will proceed with the syllabus, but you will get unit 1 and unit 2 up to state space modeling of electrical circuits and not anything beyond that. Alright, okay, that's it. If there is any problem, then we can discuss, otherwise we go. Alright, then if there isn't any problem, then that's it. Thank you. And good day. Bye.
Thank you so much.